Hello students, welcome to Surface Chemistry part 6. In this part we are going to understand a new concept called colloids. Let us try to understand this concept of colloids with help of examples. Let us take a beaker containing water. Let us dissolve salt in it, and you know that salt is going to dissolve completely. Now question arises, can we distinguish between salt and water? Answer is no, we cannot distinguish, because when we dissolve salt in water, that leads to the formation of homogeneous mixture. So what is homogeneous mixture? It is a mixture in which composition remains uniform throughout it. So here we have uniform composition, and this solution, whatever formed, is called as homogeneous mixture. And students, in this case, the solute particle size, in other words, Na plus and Cl minus size is very, very small. It lies between 0.1 nanometer to 1 nanometer. And students, such type of solutions are called as true solutions. Now, let us take one more beaker containing water and let us dissolve sand in it. And we know that sand is insoluble in water. Now question arises, can we distinguish between sand and water? The answer, you know, it is yes. We can clearly distinguish between sand and water. Now this type of solutions are called heterogeneous solutions, where composition does not remain uniform throughout it. And this type of solutions are called as suspensions. And students, in the case of suspensions, particle size is greater than 10 to the power 3 nanometers. Students, in the case of true solutions, particle size is between 0.1 nanometer to 1 nanometer, whereas in the case of suspension it is greater than 10 to the power 3 nanometer. So now there exists one system in between that of true solution and suspension, where size is in between that of 1 nanometer to 10 to the power 3 nanometer, and that system is called as colloidal system. How to get that? Let us understand that with help of an example. Let us take beaker, students, once again, and let us dissolve starch in it. So we dissolved here starch in it. So when I dissolve starch in it, I am going to get a starch in water, and this also, of course, heterogeneous mixture, composition doesn't remain uniform throughout. But as far as particle size is concerned, in this case particle size is greater than true solutions, where smaller than suspension, and it is of the order 1 nanometer to 10 to the power 3 nanometer, and this system is called as colloidal system. Students, colloids are those in which particle size lies between 1 nanometer to 10 to the power 3 nanometer. Colloids, students, as we studied already, colloidal system represents an intermediate mixture between true solution and suspension. And if you want to say any substance as a colloidal system or a colloidal state, then it should satisfy the condition of particles that should be present between 1 nanometer to 10 to the power 3 nanometer. And when we say colloidal system, it has two phases. One is the dispersion medium phase and another one is disperse phase. Okay. Students, dispersion medium means it is the solvent that you have taken, that is continuous in nature, where dispersed phase means these are nothing but the solute particles, for example starch particles. Okay, so when starch dissolved in water, students, water acts as a dispersion medium, that is continuous, where starch is called as a dispersed phase, that is discontinuous. Colloidal system, as I already told, has two phases. One is a dispersed phase and another one is dispersion medium. Let us distinguish between these two so that we can understand thoroughly. dispersed phase, whatever present students, it is comparable to that of the solute that we are going to dissolve. In other words, particles being dispersed, where dispersion medium is comparable to that of the solvent that we take. The medium in which the particles are dispersed or exist. Always remember students, dispersed phase is discontinuous. When we dissolve starch in water, we are not getting uniform concentration of starch throughout the water, hence it is discontinuous. Whereas the dispersion medium, that is water, that is continuous in nature. Now let us compare true solutions, colloidal dispersion and suspension. Okay. True solution, as we know already, it is homogeneous, whereas the colloidal dispersion is heterogeneous, and even suspension is also heterogeneous. In the case of true solutions, particles are most of the time ions, molecules, where in the case of colloidal system, particles are macromolecules or aggregation of molecules or even atoms. So in the case of colloidal system, particles are macromolecules, single macromolecules like polymers, proteins. Aggregate molecules means obtained by combination of more number of molecules or even atoms. Where in the case of suspension, the particles are aggregates of molecules or atoms, like sand particles, etc. In the case of true solution, particle size that ranges between 0.1 nanometer to 1 nanometer, where in the case of colloidal system, particle size lies between 1 nanometer to 10 to the power 3 nanometer, nothing but 1000 nanometer, where in the case of suspension, particle size is greater than 1000 nanometer, or in other words I can say large. Let us see the fourth one, students. The particles do not settle in the case of true solutions, whereas in the case of colloidal solution, here also particles are not going to settle, they are under continuous random motion, whereas in the case of suspension, particles are going to settle at the bottom. The fifth one, the particles readily pass through the parchment paper, whereas in the case of colloids, the particles also pass through the parchment paper, but in the case of suspension, they do not pass through the parchment paper. True solution particles are invisible even under powerful microscope, whereas colloidal particles are invisible under ordinary microscopes. Whereas suspension, even that can be watched sometimes by using naked eye, or we can use a microscope to see it. Now let us see types of colloids. This is important, students, you have to learn thoroughly. Okay, based on the dispersed phase and dispersion medium, colloids are categorized as follows. So let us take dispersed phase in the first column, then dispersion medium, colloids, and then examples. The first dispersed phase is solid and medium is also solid, and that is called by name solid soul. Examples, colored glasses and gemstones, students. So here you can see colored glasses, which are example for solid soul. The second one is dispersed phase solid, dispersion medium is liquid, and that is called as soul. Example, paints and cell fluids. Third one, dispersed phase solid, dispersion medium gas, and that is called aerosol. Example, smoke, dust. The fourth one, the dispersed phase is liquid, dispersion medium is solid, and that is called gel. Example, jellies, cheese, toothpaste, whatever we people use, or some creams, they come under this gels. The next one is dispersed phase is liquid, dispersion medium is also liquid, that is called emulsion. For that, milk, hair cream and butter are the examples. The next one is dispersed phase is liquid, dispersion medium is gas, and that is also called as gas aerosol, that is also called as aerosol generally, or most of the time nowadays it is called as gas aerosol. Example: fog, mist, cloud, insecticide sprays. Dispersed phase is gas, dispersion medium is solid, and that colloidal system is called solid foam. Example: pumice stone, foam rubber, etc. Dispersed phase is gas, dispersion medium is liquid, and it is called foam. Example: froth produced from the soaps and detergents, wiped cream, soap lather are the examples. Shaving cream, whatever that lather produced, that also comes under foam. Question arises, students, why dispersed phase gas and dispersion medium gas is not a colloidal system? Answer for that one is very simple. Gas in gas forms homogeneous mixture, but when I say colloidal system, it is always heterogeneous mixture. That's why gas in gas is not example for colloidal system. Some basic examples, let us see, students. Students, colloidal salts are sometimes even called by some specific names depending upon the nature of the dispersion medium that we people used. Suppose if you use water as a dispersion medium, then it is called hydrazole or aquazole. In the case of sol, if dispersion medium is water, then it is called by name aquazole or hydrazole. Suppose if it is alcohol, then it is called alcohol. Suppose if it is a benzene, then it is called a benzozole. And if it is air, then it is called aerosol. Now let us see two more classifications of colloids. Based on the two factors, one is based on the nature of interaction between dispersed phase and dispersion medium, and the second one is based on the type of particles present in dispersed phase. Based on nature of interaction between dispersed phase and dispersion medium, they are categorized into two types, students. The first one is lyophilic sols and the second one is lyophobic sols. Lyo stands for solvent, philic stands for loving. So lyophilic means liquid loving or solvent loving. Second one is lyophobic. Lyo stands for solvent, phobic stands for hating. Lyophobic means solvent hating or liquid hating. Okay, based on the type of particles of dispersed phase, they are categorized into three types. First one is multimolecular colloids, and second one macromolecular, next one is associated colloids. Colloid which is formed by aggregation of small molecules, students, is called as multimolecular colloid. Let us see that one once again. Now let us distinguish between lyophilic and lyophobic sols, which is very important for examination. They ask this question for 2 marks. Students, as name itself indicates, lyophilic means solvent loving, where lyophobic means solvent hating. In the case of lyophilic sol, there is a strong affinity between dispersed phase and dispersion medium, where in the case of lyophobic sol, there is low or very less affinity between the dispersed phase and dispersion medium. So preparation of lyophilic is going to be very easy. On shaking with dispersed medium, they directly form colloidal sol, where in the case of lyophobic sol, direct method is not possible. By mixing dispersed phase and dispersion medium, you cannot get it. Some indirect methods we have to use. In the case of lyophobic sols. Students, in the case of lyophilic, directly mixing can give you the sol. So that's why I told already, easy to prepare. And because of that reason, they are also called as intrinsic colloids, whereas lyophobic cannot be prepared by mixing to one dispersed phase and one dispersion medium. Hence, they are indirect method we have to use. That's why they are called as extrinsic colloids and difficult to prepare. In the case of lyophilic sols, the particles, colloidal particles which are charged in nature, we are going to discuss that one later. They migrate toward anode or cathode under influence of applied electric field. Where in the case of lyophobic sols, they may or may not migrate towards the electric field. Students, lyophilic sols are reversible in nature and highly stable in nature. The process of preparation of sol can be reversed. By heating, you can evaporate whatever solvent present in it, thereby you can get the particles of the dispersed phase. And after that, you can mix dispersed phase with the suitable solvent. Once again, you can get the lyophilic sols. Hence, lyophilic sols are reversible in nature, highly stable in nature. Clear? Whereas lyophobic sols are not reversible in nature, they are not stable in nature. Once lyophobic sol is formed, you cannot reverse the process. From the lyophobic sol, you cannot separate dispersed phase and dispersion medium. Okay? So solids obtained after evaporation may be reconverted to form of sol by simple shaking them with dispersion medium. Hence, they are reversible in nature. Here, precipitated mass cannot be brought back into colloidal state by simple shaking them with the dispersion medium. So, lyophilic sols are reversible, these are irreversible. Lyophilic sols are stable, where lyophobic are unstable or very less stable. In the case of lyophilic sols, students, the surface tension of the sol is lower than that of the dispersion medium. The surface tension of the sol, that means dispersed phase, is lower than that of the dispersion medium, where in the case of lyophobic sol, the surface tension is same in the case of both dispersed phase and dispersion medium. In the case of lyophilic sols, the viscosity of sol is higher than that of the medium, whereas in the case of lyophobic sol, the viscosity of the dispersed phase and dispersion medium are same. Let us see some examples. Examples can't be written as differences, students. Remember that point. Gum, starch, gelatin, rubber. Generally, the sol obtained from organic bases or organic material, they are all example for lyophilic sols. Where sols which are obtained from inorganic bases, from metals or metal salts, they come under lyophobic sols. Example, metal sulfide sol, silver sol, gold sol, platinum sol, they all come under lyophobic sols, students. Now let us discuss the second type of classification, the classification based on the size of the dispersed phase particles. In that one, the first one is the multimolecular colloids. See, these are the colloids formed by aggregation of large number of small atoms or molecules, students. Let us understand this with the help of an example. When starch dissolved in water, starch molecules, they start aggregating like this. These starch molecules, they start aggregating like this, thereby they increase the size of the starch to the range of 1 nanometer to 10 to the power 3 nanometer. And they reach colloidal state. So starch increases its size and grows up to the range of 1 nanometer to 10 to the power 3 nanometer, thereby leading to the formation of colloid, and it is called as multimolecular colloid. How it is formed, students? By aggregation of large number of molecules or atoms. In some cases atoms, they grow enough and diameter or a size increases to an extent of size related to colloidal particles. Thus, multimolecular colloids are formed by aggregation of large number of atoms or molecules which generally have diameter or a size of colloidal range. Examples: gold sol, silver sol, platinum sol, sulfur sol are the examples. Now let us, and students, multimolecular colloids In that one, molecules are held together by weak van der Waals force of attractions, like dipole-dipole interaction, induced dipole interactions. Now let us see associated colloids. Students, now let us see macromolecular colloids. As the name itself indicates, students, here size of the molecule itself is of colloidal size or comparable to the size of colloidal particles. Okay, generally observed in the case of polymers like rubber, nylon, polythene, starch, cellulose, proteins, enzymes. So each single particle itself has a size of colloidal range and thereby acting as a colloidal particle. Macromolecular solutions are true solutions consisting of single macromolecules so large that they fall in a colloidal range. Example, I already told polymers, many polymers we can give as example: rubber, nylon, polythene, starch, cellulose, proteins, enzymes, etc. we can give as an examples. These substances, when dissolved in a suitable solvent, directly form a colloidal solution. Such macromolecules are also called as electrolytes, students. They can also called as electrolyte. And macromolecular colloids containing polymers, some polymeric species themselves form ions, hence they can migrate in electric field also. That means these macromolecular colloidals are charged in nature and under influence of electric field they can move either towards cathode or anode. And as I already told, these macromolecular colloids are also called as electrolytes, colloidal electrolytes. Let us see the last one, associated colloids. Certain substances, when dissolved in a medium at low concentration, they just act as a normal electrolytes. But when concentration is increased suitably, what happens? They exhibit a colloidal state, and this state is formed due to the aggregation of these molecules. As name indicates, association of the atoms or the molecules that leads to the formation of associated colloids. The aggregated particles thus formed are called miscellaneous. In the case of soaps and detergent, students, it is applicable to soaps and detergents. So this is a diagram related to miscellaneous that we people once again discussing. As I told, most common associated colloids are formed from soaps and detergents. And very importantly, students, miscellaneous formation takes place above a particular temperature called as Kraft temperature and a particular concentration called as critical miscellaneous concentration. So these two things are important. Miscellaneous formation takes place above a particular temperature called Kraft temperature, particular concentration called critical miscellaneous concentration. Thank you, students.